This sounds like either a con job.
There is no such Department of Government Efficiency. It's made up.
Let's come after Elon Musk, who's made his fortune off of taxpayers.
If they are going to have this little DOGE commission or whatever it is that they are calling.
You've put a billionaire who basically has made his fortune off of government subsidies.
So good luck to him.
So today, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy visited Capitol Hill to host a meeting about DOGE. The only issue here is Democrats are already melting down over this, just showing how allergic they are to innovation. So this all started this morning when Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy visited Capitol Hill to discuss the Department of Government Efficiency with Republicans. Democrats did not attend this meeting, by the way. Okay, so let's just understand this really quick. There are three top priorities of DOGE. Number one is to cut the regulation. Okay, number two is to cut spending. And three, to reduce the workforce of the federal government. There's just too many people working for the federal government when there doesn't need to be. Now, this article goes on to say that the Government Accountability Office, which serves as the research arm of Congress, estimated annual fraud losses cost taxpayers between $233 billion and $521 billion annually. And then they go on to say that DOGE will help end federal overspending by taking aim at the $500 billion plus in annual federal expenditures that are unauthorized by Congress or being used in ways that Congress never intended. From $535 million a year to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and $1.5 billion for grants to international organizations, to nearly $300 million to progressive groups like Planned Parenthood. Now, we talked about that earlier today. Now, the U.S. Department of Defense annual audit once again resulted in a disclaimer opinion. That means that the federal government's largest agency with a budget of more than $840 billion can't fully explain its spending. The Pentagon previously said it will be able to accurately account for its spending by 2027. So one of the congressmen that were actually in the meeting went to X and posted a video giving a recap of what took place. And that is Congressman Tim Burchett. Let's hear it now.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the DOGE meeting with Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy. And I think the key to the whole thing is going to be, the key to the whole thing is in that room. If Congress doesn't have the guts to do those things that they're talking real big about, it's just a waste of time. They'll do away with executive orders and unelected bureaucrats who put rules and regulations on us. But if Congress doesn't have the guts, and that's what scares me. You know, I vote against a lot of stuff. There'll be 15 or so red dots on the board, which means we voted against horrible spending, and there'll be about 400 green lights on the board, and that's going to be the problem. My friend Chip Roy is right here. Chip,
hey, how are you?
Knox, East Tennessee.
Great Americans?
I was just telling them that the problem's in that room.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, 100%, and that we've got to have the guts to pull the trigger on
our friends Elon and Vivek can do a good job exposing it, but then we got to actually do our job. So I hope they do it, and then we'll have to hold our colleagues accountable.
Right on. Brother. Amen. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for sitting here.
Okay, so what Tim said is spot on. All right, it's on Congress to actually make some things happen here because they have the legal authority. Now, before we get to the actual meltdown that took place because of Elon Musk going to Capitol Hill and discussing these priorities, let's hear from a Democratic Senator, John Fetterman, on what he thought about DOGE and Elon Musk. Check this out.
Do you see yourself ultimately working with folks like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who will be heading?
Yeah, I admire Mr. Musk. He has been involved in very important parts of American society, AI, SpaceX, and other kinds of things. Yes, he's on a different team, but that doesn't make me an enemy. I don't be automatically going to become a critic. It's like, hey, he has made, he's made our economy and our nation better, and our politics are different, and I don't agree with some of the things that he might say, but that doesn't make him, like I said, an enemy.
You know what's interesting about Senator Fetterman? It's almost as if he is continuing to become more based as time goes on because his party, I mean, they have just lost it. All right. You still have people in that party who refuses to see this as a great idea. They're not even mildly optimistic about it. Okay. They're just 100% pessimistic about it. And we're about to show you this in a few seconds from now. Wouldn't you want the genius of our time involved in fixing some of the major problems of the federal government that would benefit not just people in Washington, of course, but the actual average American? I mean, I would think that would be a great thing, but hey, not everybody believes that. And let me give you a couple of examples, starting with Congressman Chris Murphy, who went on to MSNBC to share his thoughts.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who represents Connecticut. Really good to have you. I got a question about this DOGE department. And first off, Jared Moskowitz of Florida has joined in. And Rahm Emanuel was on with Ezra Klein talking about what Democrats need to do going forward. And he said, if the Republicans are proposing something to shake up the status quo, the Democrats should get on board and offer their own opinions, offer their own ideas, their own ways to do it, get them in the soft underbelly, as Rahm Emanuel says. Is this something that you would be interested in getting involved with? You're a guy who thinks the Democrats should be running against the status quo as well.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that this has anything to do with breaking up the status quo. You've put a billionaire who basically has made his fortune off of government subsidies in charge of deciding how the government should spend its money. This sounds like either a con job in which Elon Musk comes out of this with his programs protected and perhaps his competitors' programs targeted, or just a TV show.
Okay, I just have to say one thing about this take from Chris Murphy. If Elon Musk truly wanted to punish his competitors, why would he allow his competitors to copy his AI and algorithm from Tesla? I mean, he allowed the patent to be open. He allows these other companies to use the same technology that they use in Tesla. So tell me where you get the idea that he's going to try to rig the system for his own benefit. Please, just can you explain that?
I mean, I've been part of these things in the past with Donald Trump. After the Parkland shooting, I got dragged over to the White House for a television program in which Donald Trump pretended he cared about guns. He didn't do anything. This may be the same thing, that he's trying to put on a show that he cares about cutting government, but actually we're going to end up with the same thing that happened in his first term. Deficits exploding, more and more debt saddled upon the American public. So yes, I think Democrats should put on the table how we think we can cut government. Let's come after the drug companies, let's come after the insurance companies, the big defense companies that are all reaping huge amounts of money off of the government. Let's come after Elon Musk, who's made his fortune off of taxpayers. Democrats should be involved in the conversation about government efficiency. I just don't know that this group has anything to do with actual meaningful common sense cuts. It may be about protecting billionaires.
So my only question is to Senator Chris Murphy, if you are so cynical about this, I wonder if Elon Musk was on your side, would you be saying the same thing? Like, let's say it was Bernie Sanders and Elon Musk working together to do DOGE, and it was Bernie Sanders' idea, right? When he was talking with Elon Musk and Kamala Harris had won the election. Would you be saying the same thing? Now, let's use common sense. Of course he wouldn't, right? So that's number one. Now, number two, you're complaining that Elon Musk got rich off the backs of taxpayers. Last time I checked, no one put a gun to anybody's head and made them buy a Tesla. If it wasn't for the wasteful spending on NASA, you guys wouldn't need SpaceX. It's not Elon Musk's fault that he found a way to do 100 times whatever NASA's trying to do for 1/100th of the cost. So, you know, Chris Murphy, I think you need to rethink your perspective about this. Now, he wasn't the only one. Check this out.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have left the Capitol, and their parting words were that they, quote, want to meet with Democrats next time. Would you meet with them?
Oh, I would meet. Now, I don't know that they want to meet with me, but I would absolutely. Listen, if they are going to have this little DOGE commission or whatever it is that they are calling, I absolutely want to understand as much about it as I can so that I can report back. It's kind of like that time that we had to go and see the January 6ers at the jail. I had to show up to make sure that the truth was going to be reported. So absolutely, come and see me, guys, and let's have a talk so I can make sure that the truth is in the atmosphere.
Again, I have the same question. I wonder if she would be that condescending if it was Bernie Sanders and Elon Musk once again, right? Because we know that Jasmine Crockett, she hates white people. Isn't that correct? Not just any type of white people, but white men. Doesn't she hate white men? I mean, she blames them for everything. Okay, so I got one more meltdown for you. This is a congresswoman from California. Here you go.
That's something that is coming into your wheelhouse. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy apparently will be up on Capitol Hill talking about their ideas for this thing that they're calling DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a bit of a misnomer because it won't be a part of the federal government, apparently. But Congress controls the purse strings. What are your thoughts on Elon Musk and Ramaswamy deciding or trying to decide what stays and what goes in the federal government?
Well, it's illegal. They haven't asked to meet with me, but the impoundment of funds that have been appropriated by the Congress is unconstitutional and illegal. There is no such Department of Government Efficiency. It's made up. So good luck to them. I mean, if...
Now, I'm sure everybody can relate to this. You know that one person, whether it was in school or at your work, you know, it doesn't matter what you try to do. You could be a saint. You could have come from heaven at this very moment. They are still going to find a way to fight you tooth and nail. And that's exactly what some of these Democrats are going to do, especially in public. They're not going to actually say anything positive about this. And all they're really doing is digging their own grave, because guess what? If there is any level of success with this, these clips are on the internet. So when it comes to re-election time, all their competitors have to do is dig these clips back up and show them like how much of a clown they are and how disconnected they are from American voters. This is what America wants. So just get with the program already.
If there is a plan that the President Trump wants to propose to the Congress, he should send it to us. But the Constitution does not permit the president to simply avoid what the Congress has done. That power of the purse is with the legislative branch, not the president.
Okay, so let's just give you the bottom line so far. Democrats are quick to criticize DOGE, especially the media, but they offer no alternative solutions. All they're offering is fear-mongering and distractions. That's it. Okay, so if you're getting value from this video so far, please do us a favor. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or buy us a cup of coffee. All right, so the next story up is a continuation of this breaking story from Sunday where Joe Biden is considering issuing preemptive pardons to individuals in his administration. Some are actually Republican, also known as never Trumpers, that is. The media is finally looking at this as a disaster. And here is an example of that on CNN tonight.
Jenna, what do you think of this idea of preemptive pardons for, let's just say Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, people who served on this select committee investigating January 6th, that Donald Trump clearly hates them and would love to see bad things happen to them. What do you think?
I think it's a horrendous idea. I think it is a terrible moral hazard question to preempt it for a president. If this is the path we're going down, I think we should talk about repealing the pardon power entirely, or creating some new body that handles pardons, because this is not what the founders intended. I think it's the anti-federalists had basically got it right. All in favor of creating a massive legal defense fund, right? So that these people don't get bankrupted by abuse of power. But I don't think the courts have been corrupted. I think these cases would get thrown out of the courts. You just don't want to create a situation where the process is the punishment. But I just think it's a terrible precedent.
Now, I know anybody with a level of common sense and understands history in regards to our country and the U.S. Constitution would know why this is a terrible idea. But not everybody sees it that way, and here's an example of that.
Actually, on the opposite of that, I think that it is actually smart. When you have somebody not only in Trump, but in a lot of his acolytes who also hold elected office, who are dead set on carrying out his retribution tour, be it whether it's with Liz Cheney, Dr. Fauci, any and everybody, I think that it's smart. It offers a certain level of protection, but it also helps as a stalwart, because I hear what you're saying about, what the founders intended. The founders also didn't intend a twice impeached, 34 felony convicted guy to pop up and run for president and win multiple times. I think that at this point, when you have someone who is operating with immunity, because quite frankly, the Supreme Court gave him that in all aspects, and does not match up to any of the presidents that we formerly had, or any, I think, of the principles of American democracy. You have to have safeguards, and one of the safeguards against a lot of the attacks that the incoming administration and a lot of those who align with it against those that they see as enemies is actually issuing those preemptive pardons.
I don't know if she truly believes that stuff, but if she does, let's just go ahead and pray for her. Okay. So let's kind of dive into a lot of the misinformation that she was spewing there. Number one, whatever immunity that Trump received, Joe Biden has the same immunity. In fact, I'll give you a better example. Former President Obama had that immunity when he was using drones that killed civilians. So what about that, right? So it's not as if Donald Trump got some special treatment from the Supreme Court. So can we just exercise some intelligence there? That's the first thing. Now, the second thing, she keeps talking about safeguards, and that is a buzzword that you're going to hear from a lot of liberals who do have Trump derangement syndrome. And what they're forgetting is the safeguard is the U.S. Constitution. And the safeguard after that is the United States Supreme Court. Now, let me show you another clip here. Now, kind of a similar take, but this is from a Democratic congressman, and he has an interesting twist.
So let me ask you this. Have you specifically urged President Biden to pardon preemptively Donald Trump?
I have not urged the president directly, but I did have that discussion with members of his staff that I thought he ought to do that. I think we need to clear the air in this country.
Now, my only response is, would you hold that same standard for Donald Trump? Would you also say that the 34 felony accounts were also a joke in New York City, something that would never actually happen? And because his last name is Trump, that's why it did happen. Would you have the same response with that? Hear his next take about what Biden really should do. Watch.
Get this election, because I think that we are trying to run a government on behalf of all the people of this country. And if we spend all of our time going forward pursuing Trump, or Trump pursuing Liz Cheney, Jack Smith, Dr. Fauci, that is what we need to get off the table. And so I've asked the president's people to consider preemptive pardons for all those people. Wow. Get it off the table. Because I know Donald Trump, and I think the country knows Donald Trump. And as soon as he gets to the point where he can get the credit for it, he'll do it. And so I asked the president to move forward doing this.
And Congressman Clyburn, that's a startling revelation, at least to my ears. And what was his reaction?
Well, I don't know what his reaction was. I told you I was doing it with my staff, with his staff.
With the staff.
I talked to his staff
what was their reaction?
I talked to him directly about this.
Yeah. What was their reaction?
They listen. And they says, we'll convey what you said to the president. And so I'm waiting to get what the president's response might be.
All right. Now let's kind of walk through what he was just saying. So if Joe Biden was to pardon Trump, then obviously that would kill every single case. Obviously, it would just be over. But that would also come with the fact that Fauci, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and anybody else that has really been behind the massive corruption under the Biden administration would also be pardoned. Now, if that's the worst case scenario, I'm not mad. Now, the best case scenario is someone like a Dr. Anthony Fauci is held accountable. I mean, why is he even still a doctor? That's what I don't understand. And so I really do believe the best case scenario is, regardless of whatever Biden does, Trump should create a committee to expose the corruption so people get to hear both sides of the story. Now, if Trump's administration is going to get off on the right foot and exposing that truth and changing the culture of Washington, Pete Hegseth is going to have to get confirmed. And we talked about that earlier today in a video that I'll link at the end here. However, listen to this Democratic senator who had this to say about Pete Hegseth's nomination.
I've talked to 5 to 10 Republicans who have said to me they're just waiting for the right moment to say no to Pete Hegseth, and for very good reasons.
Why do you think so few Republicans, none by my count, have been willing to come out and say they will definitively not support this nominee?
Nobody wants to defy Donald Trump if you're a Republican. the power of the presidency, not to mention this president-elect, and what the retribution might be, I think is pretty daunting. And so I think Republicans are reluctant to step forward and be the first one. But I think privately, they're much readier to advise the president that the better part of wisdom would be to urge withdrawal of this nomination. I'd be surprised if we're still talking about Hegseth at the end of the week or by Monday.
Okay, well, the end of the week is really tomorrow, okay? And so there's that. And secondly, let's put this in full context. He is a Democrat, so I'm not too sure how much insightful he is as it pertains to those Republican conversations with Hegseth. Okay, so let's hear from you guys in the comment section below. My major question for you to answer is this. Do you believe that the Republican Senate will support what DOGE ends up advising them to do? Will they actually make cuts to the regulation, the spending, and actually reduce the workforce? I mean, everything you've seen up to this point, what would be your answer to that? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so we ended this video talking about Pete Hegseth and how important he will be to Trump to fulfill his promise to the American people as it pertains to cleaning up the mess in Washington, and for Pete Hegseth, that is the Department of Defense, and get the wokeness out of there. You would think that all Republicans would be on board, particularly Republican senators who are up for re-election in 2026, but apparently that isn't the case, because there's a particular senator who is sabotaging Pete Hegseth's nomination. And if you want to check that video out, all you have to do is click on it, because it's coming up right now.